What is up, everybody, and welcome to FLW videos. In today's episode, we are going to be doing a deep dive on the Pokemon known as Mewtwo. Now, you might be asking yourself the question, why are you doing a deep dive on Mewtwo right now? Well, it all stems from some leaked information that goes to show we are going to be getting Armored Mewtwo added into Pokemon Go. The evidence is absolutely mounting. We end up seeing a screenshot at a conference that showcased Armored Mewtwo on a television screen, and then I got a little bit curious and wanted to look at the CP, so I went ahead and checked out the raid calculation formula just to find when you put in the stats of Mewtwo under the old formula using 12,500 HP, you ended up getting that 49,000 number to the T, exactly what it is with Mewtwo stats. So what this personally makes me think is that it is going to be maybe just a cosmetic thing. There could be an addition to the typing as well, like adding on a steel type, but it could end up just being a costume. But if we end up seeing something new, like a new moveset, a new typing, a new something like that, I will do a specific deep dive for the armored version of Mewtwo. And if you aren't quite convinced that this thing is real, we also ended up seeing some messages released of an anime group that was putting on the conference actually reach out and say, hey, can you delete this? How did you get this? Make sure to delete it. And they are in fact verified on Twitter. So there is a lot going on, definitely a lot to be excited about. But I figured we would go ahead and start from the grassroots and talk specifically about Mewtwo and its total domination in Pokemon Go. If you enjoy this type of content, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. Mewtwo with a max EP of 4,178. Mewtwo is a pure psychic type Pokemon. Statistically speaking, it is a beast. Its best stat being its attack stat at 300, its worst stat being its defense stat at 182, with an overall ranking of 15th in Pokemon Go. Taking a look at the moveset, wow, go ahead and check this out. We've got quite a bit of moves available. So many different typings. I'm counting 5 in total. Then when you get into the legacy, add on 2 more to it. So to be honest, Mewtwo got classified as the Swiss Army knife of Pokemon Go. And when you talk about a powerful Pokemon like Mewtwo having access to just so many moves, that is insane. Unfortunately though, legacy move with it being Shadow Ball, you're only going to be able to get it from now on from trades or if you already have it. Very excited about it, but just keep in mind, Mewtwo is a dominant Pokemon with the 9% nerf. Since it was above 4,000 CP, it's still able to perform very well. Now, something interesting about Mewtwo is it has actually fallen a little bit in the overall rankings just because of a couple of Pokemon from Generation 4 that got introduced. Believe it or not, Mewtwo held the #1 spot from 3 different typings in Pokemon Go, which is insane. I don't know of another Pokemon that was able to do that. It was the #1 Psychic type attacker. It was the #1 Ghost type attacker, and it was technically the #1 Ice type attacker as well until Generation 4 got added in. But we're going to go ahead and dive specifically into the current results so you can see exactly where Mewtwo falls. So Mewtwo's most dominant standpoint will still stem from the Psychic typing. Versus a Machamp, you see it in at that #1 spot. It is crushing it, taking out Azelf. And keep in mind, it is a level 3 raid boss, so the separation time isn't going to be that much. But it is a beast from that Psychic typing standpoint. Moving on as a Ghost type attacker. Versus a Deoxys speed form, you see Gengar in at that #1 spot with the Shadow Claw Legacy, and then you see Giratina Origin form. Now, Giratina Origin form has taken over Mewtwo for most parts of it. You could get a little controversial in regards to Gengar because it has so many feints, but the fact that Giratina Origin form is able to 1, outperform it timing wise, and then 2, able to outperform it feint wise, mostly leads us to believe that Giratina Origin form is now the new #1 Ghost type attacker. So yeah, Mewtwo's been great. It's still very solid. I'm not recommending you to get rid of your Shadow Ball Mewtwo's. you just got a little bit of competition. At the end of the day, you probably already have your Mewtwo's powered up, and you would have to power up your Giratina Origin forms to get to the same level playing field, so that's definitely a consideration. But let's go ahead and check out one more type. Versus a Rayquaza, which will be double weak to the ice typing, you see a line of new Pokemon from Generation 4, Mamoswine, Weavile, Glaceon, and then finally Mewtwo. But if you think about it, if those Generation 4 Pokemon were not there, Mewtwo would be number 1, and that was actually the case. So cool though that this Pokemon was able to perform so well, but it has slipped a little bit in the performance. But at the same time, it's a pure Psychic type Pokemon, and the fact that it is able to compete in so many different ways is definitely outstanding. We didn't even scratch the surface necessarily on some of the other moves like Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, Hyper Beam, Focus Blast, just so many of them. You can go ahead and check out the results. I'll just go ahead and tell you that it isn't going to be able to compete versus other Pokemon as far as rating is concerned. But that kind of makes sense. I mean, especially with the quick move, if we got some different typings outside of Psychic type, then yes, it could be a major contender in some other ways. Finally, I wanted to talk a little bit about PvP. Mewtwo's going to be great specifically in the Masters League. Its stats are just enormous, so to be able to fully have them unleashed in the Masters League is where you will dominate. You're definitely going to want to use Ice Beam and Shadow Ball if you have it. Only way to do that is to have a Legacy Shadow Ball move and then unlock Ice Beam on it. Very excited about it. I would easily say that this Pokemon is worth powering up. It's actually one of the few Pokemon that I have personally all the way powered up to level 40. I have like 4 of them, I think. So definitely excited about that. As far as unlocking a secondary charge move, if you have Shadow Ball, I would unlock the move Psychic. If you have Psychic, I would unlock the move Ice Beam. Just try to stay around in that area with Shadow Ball, Psychic, and Ice Beam, and you're going to get some use out of it. Yes, it will be a little bit of Stardust, some candy as well, but if you have the resources, I would highly recommend it. But regardless of that, I am so excited about this, and getting some news related to the Armored Mewtwo is something that I am very much looking forward to. Be expecting some type of news soon. Groudon will go out of the raids, I believe July 10th, and then we're going to see the movie come out that it could be paired with on July 14th. So be expecting that. We could be getting some news very soon. I hope you did enjoy this episode. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and I will see you next time. This is where we give a huge shout out to the patrons on Patreon. As many of you may not know, as far as YouTube content creators are concerned with smaller channels, you don't make that much money, although there is a lot of hard work that goes into it. So support on Patreon is very important to smaller creators, and I want to say thank you so much for everyone who has chosen to be a part of it.